What's up guys, Ben here and welcome to Motivation to Invest. Usually I only say there are 3 reasons you should sell a stock. The first is to trim your position. So let's say a stock makes up 10% of your portfolio and the stock runs up in price and now it makes up, let's say, 30%. Then you could be overexposed to that stock or that industry. So then you can simply sell some of the stock to trim your position. The second reason you should think about selling a stock is opportunity costs. So let's say you find a better investment opportunity, then you could sell one stock to buy another stock. However, the third, and I consider this the most important reason that you should ever consider selling a stock, is when the business's fundamentals have changed. So you have your original investing thesis, the reasons you decided to invest into the company, and now everything's changed. The ground has shifted from underneath that investment opportunity.
What's the matter, baby? You don't think I look pretty like this?
And in this video, I'm going to be concentrating more on the latter reason of selling the stock. And I'm actually going to reveal 3 stocks, 2 of which I've actually sold myself personally due to the fundamentals changing. And I've actually received many requests from you guys for information on these stocks in the past. So my guess is you guys probably own some of these stocks. So definitely stay tuned for this entire video. But if you're new around here, then why not join the community by hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on. Only if you want more investing tips and exclusive stock market picks, which I'm personally investing into. With that being said, let's dive in. Now, like all my videos, this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion after doing some research. So kicking things off at stock number 3, which I've personally sold recently, is IBM. Now, IBM is this old school tech giant. They have over 350,000 employees across multiple countries and used to be a real powerhouse back in the 90s. So let's start with the positives. IBM brings in billions of dollars each year from its legacy clients, such as large banks who use IBM's computing systems and just don't wish to change as it would be too volatile. Second, the stock has a price to earnings ratio of just 10, so this could be a value investment, and that is what many of you guys have messaged me about. You said, Ben, is IBM a value play right now? And finally, the stock pays a nice, healthy and strong dividend of around 5%. So IBM is really a dividend investor's favorite right now. However, I'm going to give you 2 major reasons why I sold IBM stock. So the first reason is IBM's lack of growth. IBM is just not growing. And if you're in business, you're either growing or you're shrinking. It's very difficult for a business to continually coast along. Most of these businesses which are coasting tend to be on a slight decline downwards. And that's what I can see with IBM. So if you look at IBM's revenue growth rate, it's actually declined by nearly 4% over the past few years. And yes, IBM has made bold bets on areas such as quantum computing, but in the short term, I just can't see that being a major revenue generator for them. Although I do personally admire it from a technological standpoint. But the second reason, which is really more of a major red flag, is due to this recent short seller report. And I quote from Jim Chanos, "What is so fascinating about IBM is that the company we still think is engaging in accounting hijinks, and it's hiding it all in plain sight. You just have to take a look at the numbers to see it." So according to the report, the earnings per share reported by IBM is $9. However, it's actually $6 per share. Now that may not seem like a major issue, but that's a third of the company's earnings, which the company seems to be inflating. In fact, if you dive into IBM's investor presentation, you'll see they present only non-GAAP numbers. Now, GAAP stands for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, and these are the principles which all businesses should comply by when releasing information about their financials. It just so there's a level playing field and everybody knows what numbers are real and what numbers aren't. However, IBM has chosen not to release those numbers in the standard way and then thus presents non-GAAP numbers. Now, I do see on some investor presentations they present both non-GAAP and GAAP numbers, but to just present non-GAAP numbers, to me that's a worrying sign. It says they're covering things up.
Now, from my studies of psychology in grad school, I know that means that you're bullshitting.
Ain't no bullshit to me.
I tell you what, if you lying with her, don't lie to her.
But I don't lie.
In fact, you can only check out IBM's real numbers by diving into the Securities and Exchanges Commission website. So after doing the calculations, it's clear that the company had revenue of around $5 billion, with an earnings per share of less than $6 per share, not the $9 that IBM has claimed. IBM has also been selling assets to cover their cash flows. Thus, during an initial analysis, you may look at IBM stock and say, wow, they have a price to earnings ratio of 10. Is this not a value stock? When in fact, after doing the numbers, the company actually has a price to earnings ratio of around 20. So to me, it's a value trap.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
So that's why I sold my IBM stock. It's not just the fact that business is declining, it's the fact that the management is trying to cover things up, and I really don't like that. It's really unethical from a business point of view. Right, on to stock number 2, and this is the stock I know a lot of you guys are invested in because these stocks are really hot right now. So this is the airline stock, Delta Airlines. Now, before I get a heap load of feedback from you guys, let me just talk you through my entire thought process and investing thesis with this stock. I originally invested into Delta Airlines during the March 2020 travel lockdown crash. I saw the stock, it was at great prices. My bet was this was one of the best airlines in the industry, Delta and Southwest Airlines. After doing my calculations, I found that these two looked in the best position to weather any storm. I invested into the stock with the plan to hold it until travel recovered in the long term. However, after doing some calculations and doing some more research on the airline industry in general, I found that the airline industry is not a great industry to be invested into. So the airline industry historically has poor returns on invested capital, or ROIC. And in the words of the great investor Charlie Munger, that is one of the key elements you should look for when investing into a business. Airlines are a little bit like commodities. They all sell the same product and they all compete on price. And to me, that's just not great for a business. However, there is a more fundamental issue which is specific to this situation. So to weather this storm and survive the travel lockdowns, airlines have had massive bailouts and thus taken on a heap load of debt. According to the IATA, the airlines have an increased debt burden which has resulted from the efforts to survive the crisis, and they are not projected to turn cash flow positive for another year. So these companies are still burning through cash fast. Now, I'm not saying that once this global issue is over, there won't be a lot of hype behind these stocks and they won't skyrocket up somewhat. If you're invested into them for a long-term play in the airline businesses, then I would question your reasons why. Because airlines are historically poor businesses. Look at Warren Buffett. He actually had large positions in all the airline stocks. He actually even bought more airline stocks, such as Delta, during the travel lockdown and the March crash. However, then, just a short while later, he actually sold out many of his positions at a loss. Now, that's not like Warren Buffett, who historically has the saying, be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. And the fact that he sold some of his positions at a loss was really an alarm bell in my mind. And that's why after doing more research, I can see why he definitely did that. So I'd love to know your thoughts. Are you investing into any airlines? What's your plan? Do you plan to hold until the travel lockdown is over and then maybe take some profits? Or do you have a different perspective on the business entirely and you think airlines are a great long-term play? I'd love to know your thoughts, so please do comment below. And if you're finding value in this video so far, then feel free to give it a big thumbs up. That helps out tremendously with the YouTube AI. And the final stock I'm going to discuss is one that I actually was never invested into, and I'm so thankful I wasn't. And I hope many of you guys weren't also, because I didn't cover this stock on this channel. My initial instincts were correct. So what's this stock? Well, the stock is called Nikola, and I'm sure many of you guys know it. So Nikola's business model is basically to create a range of hydrogen fuel cell trucks. And so to me, it's a great industry to be in. Now, apart from the fact that this is still quite a speculative company with concept vehicles, there were some major issues with this company with regards to fraud. According to this post by Yahoo Finance, Nikola stock was actually called the worst company of the year. Now, that is an award that you don't want to be receiving.
Well, I knew I'd won, and I didn't prepare a speech. That shows you the contempt I have for this award.
But let's start off with the positives. So in September, Nikola announced an alliance with GM, or General Motors, to use GM's fuel cells and build pickup trucks. This excited investors and sent shares up by over 48%. Nikola's pickup truck, the Badger, was going to be delivered by GM by the end of 2022. And Nikola also stated to be buying GM's technology to power its long haulers. GM would own 11% of the company under the deal. Now, this deal with GM did give Nikola some credibility, but I personally asked the question, why would they be using GM's fuel cells if they're supposed to be this high-tech company who's developing all their own systems? Why would they be using a legacy car manufacturer's fuel cells? So that was the first little red flag, but then there were some major ones which actually occurred. So Nikola was actually accused of rolling a truck down a hill, videoing it, and then pretending it was actually driving. Now, this was actually predicted. I believe a guy checked it on Google Maps and he saw that they were actually pushing it from an incline down a hill to make it look like this concept vehicle was actually moving, when in fact it was just rolling. Now, this was from a short sale report called the Hindenburg Report, and although Nikola denied the report, it actually admitted that the truck wasn't driving and they never said it was. And of course, if you see a truck moving on an advertisement, of course, it might not be driving, it might be driving, someone might be pushing it, someone might be pulling it. It's all Hollywood, or so it seems in the world of Nikola. So this resulted in the CEO, Trevor Milton, leaving the company and the stock being absolutely slaughtered. Diving into StockCard, which is a sponsor for this video, we can see the picture here is a sea of red with all the data and lots of pessimistic investors with Nikola stock. Now, I personally feel sorry for any of you guys who were caught holding the bag when the stock took a dive. But then things got a lot worse for Nikola. So the CEO, Trevor Milton, was actually accused of being a sexual predator. Now, I'm not sure the details of these allegations. This is from a news website. However, just after that, one of Nikola's early strategic partners, Bosch, who was actually one of the earliest investors into the company, said enough is enough, and they reduced their stake in the company. So they reduced their stake to just 4.9% from 6.4%. This was after the lockup period, which restricted stock sales by early investors. So guys, these are just my thoughts. This is not financial advice. This is just what I've personally been doing. The first two stocks I owned and I sold for the following reasons. The last stock, I'm glad I dodged a bullet with that one. But I'd love to know your thoughts, so please do comment below. Did you own any of these stocks? If so, why? Do you have a different perspective? What are your best and worst stocks right now? Please do comment below. And if you guys want to know exactly when I'm buying and selling stocks, so when I do notice a company's fundamentals have changed and I get out that stock before the stock crashes, or I find a new stock and I get in the stock before the stock has run up, then you should consider checking out the VIP membership group. So this is a private group which I've launched recently after many requests from you guys. So in the group, you get access to my buy and sell signals. So when I make my moves, you can make your moves. But that's not all. You also get access to our VIP membership chat. So this is a private Discord group with like-minded people, like-minded investors who are moving towards a successful point in their lives. But that's not all. You'll also get access to my six-figure portfolio, the stocks and the story of how I built it up to where it is today. So if that's something you might be interested in, I've actually made a full video discussing the different tiers and options to see if it's right for you guys. The cost is the price of a coffee, and I personally think the amount of value you get is absolutely incredible. So I've left a link for that in the description below, which you guys can check out. But either way, if you guys found value in this video, then feel free to give it a big thumbs up. That helps out tremendously with the YouTube AI. And if you're new around here and you still haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for, guys? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn that notification bell on, only if you want more investing tips and exclusive stock market picks, which I'm personally investing into. With that being said, I hope you guys have an incredible day, and I'll see you in my next video. Invest safe.